white space antenna looks like those old UHF channel antennas. It's about like this, and it's aluminum. And the Wi-Fi you couldn't even spot.
Are you going to do other towns besides just Chatham and Copeland?
If we're successful here, then we want to go roll it all out. Yes.
Does North Chatham count?
If we again, we have to fill up this and make this a success, and then we will go elsewhere.
Are you regulated by the Public Service Commission?
The Public Service Commission, no.
You don't get any licensure at all?
No, there's one form we have to fill out for the FCC, and we have to some of the new Title II stuff. We just have to have certain statements of how we're doing our traffic, any traffic and shipping rules, and our basic consumer stuff.
We should probably have copies of that here.
Which we will be glad to put you as soon as we have the final version. We don't, but the Public Service Commission, no, because we're not a telecom provider technically, and we're internet.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Under old business, we have a proposed zoning change. Cal, you want
That was the other local law that we talked about last month, essentially extending the RL2 district into one further parcel. It's adjacent to the RL2 district. Under basically all of the future configurations of our zoning, that parcel would be in the RL2 zone, and it was made as a request of the residents because of the topography of the land. They couldn't get two parcels out of it, and it's essentially for their own homes. And so this would allow, if we move that one parcel from an RL1 to an RL2, they could go ahead and get the subdivision and build their homes. It's not too dissimilar to the zoning change we did a few years ago in extending the industrial zone a little further south so that a couple of properties there could continue doing what they're doing.
Do we have to have a public hearing?
Yes.
So all the neighbors will be
Yes.
informed.
So I would move we schedule a public hearing for June 18th at 7. I see you have July 16th on here. We could conceivably adopt it that evening.
However you want to do it. I mean, I can easily change that. That's
Yeah.
just, I didn't know how long you'd want to put it out, so I just gave you
Yeah.
time.
I say conceivably. We could. Yeah.
Could even do it in June, sure.
Okay.
Be
Well, I
just-
move that we set the public hearing date.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay.
Because it is a zoning change, we'll also have to send it down to the, and I'll take care of it, send it down to the county planning board for the referral there. Send a copy to all the surrounding municipalities, because they also require a notice of their state. And we'll have to do the secret review next month as well.
Right. Okay.
Is that 7?
Yeah. One other item we had under old business was
That's county alarm going in.
one other thing we had under new business or old business was our park committee, recreation Corolla Park committee, and that's the old committee is being disbanded. And as I explained at our workshop meeting, the reason that's being disbanded, excuse me, is that the initial questions and discussion revolved around whether we could put 5 new courts or 3 new courts at the park so that in total 5 could coexist there, which we've answered. That question has been answered. What we need to do now is determine how that the courts and how that fits with our rec plans and the community. And one of the interested parties, of course, well, not of course, but one of the interested parties is the school, Chatham School District, which has been invited to sit on the next committee, and will. So in terms of what Adam Sloan does in the Life Serve Youth Foundation, that's that part's up to them. what's up to us is how we manage this at Crowland Park and what it means to us. So that's where we're going. That's where we're going with that right now. And the people that are beyond and still, I guess it would be Crowland Park Committee Part 2 subcommittee, would be myself, Henry Swartz, hopefully Kathy Kramer. Haven't been able to speak. We've been trading messages. Adam Sloan, Sally Blatt, Alan Richards has agreed to participate. The school district will be represented, and Ted Kolonkowski, our rec expert from Barton Richards. So what we need to do now is get meetings together and talk about what that means. So we'll work on getting a meeting scheduled together. And that's where we are with that. Anybody have anything else under old new business that we don't have? Resolutions. Need a resolution to approve the minutes of the April 16th regular board meeting, the April 28th special town board meeting, and the May 7th town board workshop meeting. Excuse me. I'll move that.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. We have a highway resolution to accept the bid from Curtis Lumber Company, 657 Columbia Turnpike, Castleton, for roofing material for the sum of $11,662.24. It looks like we're going to save a decent amount of money on the highway garage roof. So I would move that.
I'll second.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. You got anything else? You're good? Okay.
Just, I got one quick thing. On the new town garage, we thought, I know once before we had the solar come in and try to give us a cost of where we do the power the garage by solar and do something over there. When we did it, it was a lot more expensive now. I'm being told by different people that it might be something we could look into again.
We could always do that.
I don't know if we put something out that we're interested, or ask Tammy to put something out.
Well, we were talking with NYSERDA, and they had, that's where the ideas were generated before, so we could easily do that again.
I think we probably should. I mean, there's so much more going out there, and the prices have come down, and they're making more deals to get it out there. Again, I think we could lead by example. If we could do something in our own town and our garage, that would be a great spot to start. And if we're doing a roof project there as it is, it might be something to incorporate.
Well, and they've also changed the law, of course, so that you don't have to have the panels on site. You can buy it from off-site. So that also changed the dynamic. So yeah, we'll call them again and see what comes of it.
Good.
Go from there.
I'm sorry, who?
NYSERDA.
Are you going to also contact any vendors or?
Well, that was the first
get their
idea.
recommendations?
Yeah, go from what they say to, it's generally.
Because we've got Sundog right here in town.
Yep. And they would naturally be included, but yeah, NYSERDA usually has some ideas for us. Last time we brought a couple of the vendors in. Just wasn't.
Well, the electric bills, right?
Yeah, again.
None of us doing that? Taking our cut.
Okay.
We have a lot of them.
Still do. Okay, public comment section number 2. Linda?
So, thank you for clarifying the committee thing. But it seems like, you discussed the addition of the 3 tennis courts, and now you're going to bring the committee in, a new committee, to talk about usage. So could I respectfully request that you now schedule the last part of the hardship public hearing so we can get it over with?
That's not up to us. Right now, the request has to come from Mr. Sloan.
But didn't you just say that the two, that you decided jointly to put that off? Can't you?
Well, it was his request, and we allowed it to go on so that we could talk about the other business.
Well, now that you've talked about the other business.
Yeah. We truly can't force him back to the table.
No, I'm not asking,
Yeah.
but how can you not force him? So then you're saying that he has withdrawn his request?
Yeah, he hasn't withdrawn his request. As the applicant, he requested the waiver and agreed to the 2 months. Maybe he'll want another month, I don't know.
Does he ever, okay, so if he requests the waiver, did he have to have a reason for requesting the waiver?
Other than that we were gonna talk about the stuff with the park and the courts, that was his reason.
Maybe I can speak a little bit because I was talking to Alan this week. And he wanted to collaborate. It was the town that initially came up to him to ask to use the tennis courts, to create the tennis courts in Crowley Park. And, well, to do as much of the camp as possible there. So he wanted to show a spirit of collaboration on how that could work. But he definitely wants the camp up, you know, the residents and all of that up in that corner.
That's not happening.
So, but wait a second, so this spirit of collaboration, I'm a little confused because I know you said that the meeting was, the first committee was created to talk about the tennis courts, but from my understanding, there was supposed to be other discussion as well.
Well, we attempted to have some other discussion and it really didn't go anywhere. I mean,
Well, actually, didn't Adam throw people off the committee because he didn't, yeah.
No, we didn't.
I think he threw Karen Murphy off the committee because he
Oh,
didn't like her suggestions. So,
Well, nobody's thrown off the committee. We have a new committee.
well,
so.
no, he asked her to leave.
Well, he didn't say that to me, so.
He said it in meeting. Maybe you weren't there. Okay.
But anyway, we're in a different thing now because we're looking at, from our point of view, we're looking at potentially having maybe up to 5 new courts because there may not be a hope for refurbishing our old ones, in which case he has basically offered to, instead of refurbishing them, just put new ones in. And we have to look at things like the maintenance down the road because, you know, all of a sudden we'll have 5 courts and they're hard enough maintaining 2. So how does that work? And there's interest from the school district because they have trouble with their school or with their tennis courts. I guess they're not in real great shape either. So we can get them working together with us. We can, you know, hopefully we can get a plan together and bring it, you know, so that 5 years from now we're not all standing here going, now what? You know?
But, so in your discussions with him, have you discussed his intentions for the courts if he does not get the special use permit to place his camp on his property? Because it seems like you're putting the cart in front of the horse. You're having a lot of discussions and you're making definite plans that are contingent on something that still hasn't been decided.
We really haven't made definite plans. We're having discussions, so.
Nor are they contingent. There's no quid pro
contingent on
quo.
anything. Right. It may all fall through. We don't know. It may not work. It may not work for anybody. But we're not going to know unless we talk about it. And that's been the whole gist of the idea in the first place.
Yeah, I think this 2-month thing was really also at the request of the town to try to delve into what a different strategy might look like instead of the whole camp being up onto a 6 Thomas, splitting it and what that would look like and how that would impact the bigger picture and also connect it to the town.
So I guess I'm confused because we're making plans, you know, or looking into the possibility of creating tennis courts, but yet how are we addressing the fact that he still wants to put dormitories up on top of a like a shell ledge?
Well, we're not because.
And if that's so, but let me just finish. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Jesse. So if that falls through, so now, you know, in my mind, Adam Salone, you know, is thinking to himself, I'm going to put in tennis courts here, and that way I can have my dormitories here. But there is a moratorium on the road, right?
Currently.
So, I mean, he clearly doesn't have a hardship. I mean, his heating costs and his lawn care do not a hardship make.
Right now, that's not what we're discussing because he's not in front of us talking about his hardship. We're talking about our dealings with him regarding the courts. So that's.
But what reason would he have to give us courts if he doesn't have his dormitories?
I couldn't say. I think he's been reasonably cooperative in terms of collaborating with us on this idea. So it would be a wonderful thing.
She just said she doesn't think he'd do it, but I mean that means that the only way that he would give us courts is that if he were granted dormitories, which to me is Adam Salone offering the town of Chatham a bribe. Here's tennis courts.
In that case, we don't take the courts until he gets, or if he does or doesn't get it, especially if we do not control the ZBA's decision. So,
I think it's really, you guys can call it a bribe if you want to look at the world through those glasses, but it isn't.
I just look at the world through reality.
He prefers everything to be on 206 Thomas Road, and I
Yeah.
actually think it's better for the kids.
Yeah.
But he has a different point of view.
It's not better for my kids when you're crushed by traffic.
this is what we're not going back there. We're done with this.
So anyway,
Okay.
So he's trying to find a workable solution with the town.
That's not a workable one.
Deirdre?
I just, I take the view from sort of 10,000 feet here, and I do think that it would be good if the town board were sensitive to the appearance that the applicant here is doing something for the town in order to get a controversial project approved. And this may be a timing problem, and you may have already gone beyond the time, when you could avoid it. But I think that there's a real problem of an appearance of impropriety that could arise, and I think it would be great if the town board thought very carefully about that.
Well, I think that's exactly what we're doing, and just not for nothing, but the same folks that are complaining about what we're doing here are the ones that asked us to talk to the applicant and see what could happen, and that's the sort of thing we've been doing. Doesn't mean we've guaranteed him anything, nor has he guaranteed us 5 courts or 3 courts.
No.
That's what discussions are about. So
it's actually the exact opposite of what you guys are saying. He's trying to, if you guys are suggesting use Krellin, okay, let's see what it's going to take to use Krellin.
Well, Sally, you were at those meetings, and you know perfectly well that he rejected out of hand any discussion. That's why you're not reaching Kathy Kramer, because she has never encountered
I don't know if she called me back. I have to call her.
A more uncooperative and unproductive situation, and she has said she's confrontational averse, and it was a horrible
we've established
situation.
all these other things about how everybody's personalities work. This is what the committee's doing. That's where we are. I mean, there's no other answer for it. So rather than sit here and trade old information, unless somebody has something new to say, that's where we are. And that's where we're headed with this.
I have just one new thing to say. I would just like the board to consider too, with the Krellin Park situation, were the dormitories to be on Thomas Road, that it would merely increase the traffic back and forth on that dirt road. It's not going to be, the idea was to limit usage on a dirt road, a road that is specifically zoned in a farming district.
Okay, but that's information that would go to a waiver hearing, not for this part of the discussion.
Okay.
Sure.
Can I,
That's the last comment. Yeah.
new subject?
Sure. Yeah.
If the town is interested in exploring solar options, whether on-site or off-site, I'd be happy to give you some information that I've gotten from the village of Cooperstown. And also, you might want to consider talking with the village of Chatham, because there may be some interest in perhaps partnering.
Right.
There is.
Yeah, we've already had discussions about this sort of thing, so yeah.
In which case, I can give the Cooperstown information to both of you.
Yeah.
I'm Jody Schoenfeld from Chatham Center. I have a question about the climate resolution that was presented to you. I'm kind of curious as to why it's being tabled to next month for a vote, and is that a usual process?
Yes, it is the usual process, and especially when information is handed to, well, sometimes one of us will get it like me, and then the day before, and then everybody else winds up with it the next day. So to allow everyone a chance to read the resolution and understand what it means, that's our usual process. Sometimes it takes 2 months. So it's nothing
Basically,
different.
it's just a one-page resolution.
Doesn't matter. You know, it was handed to some folks tonight, so.
But there are other resolutions that you were handed that you read out loud, correct?
Right, things that we've already have knowledge of or have dealt with, or that were just a matter of fact information. So.
Is there any sense right now that there's a downside to adopting this resolution?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, we did have a board member who had just got the information tonight and was asking for some time to read it. That, I don't think that's unfair for her to ask, or any one of us to ask to read all the information before they make a decision.
Sure.
And that's all we're asking for. We're just asking for more time so we can all read it, make sure we're all on the same page. If we want to discuss it amongst ourselves, just so we're all informed, that's all.
Sure.
I don't think any of us have had a negative impact, but Maria's got a point. She wants to read it before she makes a decision.
I totally understand. Is there any way that we get a commitment to bring it up next month?
Well, we've already done that.
It's tabled it to next month.
Yeah.
You had said that possibly you're going to vote on it.
No, it'll be on the agenda.
It will be on the agenda for a vote?
Right.
At the next month?
Well, whether or not it's a vote, it'll be on the agenda. Whether we bring it to a vote or not is up to the board.
It requires a motion.
It requires a motion and a second. So.
It requires a motion of somebody on the board?
And a second. So
And
one
a second.
person can't sit here and say that's going to happen because you don't know.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you for the clarification.
Sure.
So is there anything else that I can do, or do you, as a citizen, should I just sit quietly and wait until next month? Should I attend, or?
Well, you could attend, yeah.
I would suggest we attend, because we have discussion when we make a motion. It's a discussion made. If some of us have questions, you'd be the person we'd like to ask them to. I would think if we had some out of the public who had some questions, that she can answer them again. So I myself would like to see you be here again if it's not too much inconvenience.
And so it's a Thursday.
Thursday the 16th. No, 18th, I'm sorry. Anyone else?
The issue with you were talking about conceivably adding solar panel, looking back into doing that again. And you mentioned because the roof is being redone. Is it a location where they're required to be on the roof, or is there land where they could be pole mounted?
It just happens to be where that piece of land is. It's open to a lot of stuff now. And it gets...
But the reason that I'm asking is pole mounts are cheaper to install and more efficient.
That's because I don't know any better. To really be honest, I see them on the roof, I figured that's where they go.
Oh, there you go. Because if there is land that it could go on a pole mounted, it might conceivably be less expensive to install it.
I like less expensive than better. I just always see them on the roof, so that's where my mind goes.
It also makes any repairs to the roof cheaper.
2 or 3 years ago, we looked at that, and it was not feasible at that time.
To do it on a pole.
No, we wouldn't have paid.
We actually have land,
Yeah.
not just at the highway garage, but other places that could have a substantial array.
Another reason I like your suggestion about on the pole, as being from the fire service, we hate these things on the roof. It compromises the roof and the structure much faster and sooner, puts our guys in a lot of danger. So I'd much rather see them on a pole off the roof.
Last time we looked, we couldn't recoup our costs in 20 years, so it's got to get better than that.
Yeah.
When was the last time that you looked?
It was a couple, 3 years ago.
Yes, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's the one. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Fabiano from the Fabiano family has been in solar stuff for decades. So he doesn't live here, but he certainly comes by a lot to visit his family. So I'll volunteer his time for you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Motion?
I got one more thing to do. I'm sitting here and stewing about it. Probably shouldn't say anything, but I'm going to. I got to defend the Tri-Village Fire Department, and I spoke to the president, and even though they're asking them about a code of ethics, they do have and had something in their bylaws for years. It's just they don't call it a code of ethics. They call it a code of conduct. So when the question was asked, he never got to go fully through the story because of the short conversation they had on the phone. It was abruptly ended, and it was never able to give the answer that they do have a code of conduct, and these things are addressed. The fire chief made a statement, not speaking for himself, but speaking for the fire department. The fire department stands behind that statement. That fire department can provide EMS and fire service to anywhere in the Tri-Village Fire District. And they stand behind that comment. So I just wanted to defend. They're not here tonight. I took offense to it, and I want to make sure that their point was heard.
Henry, during that conversation, it was very clearly asked to David Ross, we'd like to see a copy of your code of ethics. And he said, I don't have one.
That's right.
And then John Hoffner said, but the law is you need to have a code of ethics. He said, we've never had one. At that point, it would have been probably the right time to say, but we have a code of conduct. But he didn't, and he ended the conversation.
Yes, he did, because he was being rudely talked to from the other end of the conversation, so he hung the phone up. If it was followed through with the department, they would have found out that they have a code of conduct.
How do you follow through when somebody hangs up the phone and tells you they don't have it?
Somebody who can come and speak openly and politely and not rudely.
And then Karen had a conversation with him, and it was the same answer. So that was two conversations. And yes, you're correct. The fire chief has stated that he speaks for the fire department, that they can address that. But that's exactly our point. He said that after he was offered a 5-bedroom residence on the top of a hill.
His
so
statement
that's what a conflict
is not
of interest
untrue. His statement is the fire company can go up that driveway, as in any driveway, they can make their equipment go up the driveways. There's no problem getting the equipment up there. They put the equipment up there. It's not an issue. You're making an issue where there isn't.
I think that's not a conversation for you or I to have. I think it's a legal issue, and I think it's an issue for our engineers to discuss.
The two that already discussed it and said it was okay, you didn't agree with that.
No, as you know, we actually never got the public hearing at the zoning CBA. So we have never presented the findings of our engineer.
I'm stopping.
I have a really kind of silly new business thing. Being relatively new back to the area again, it would be kind of cool if you guys, during the days of the town meeting, you know how they have those little open signs, like, with the little flags waving? Could there be like a little town meeting tonight sign? Just to kind of let people that are, newly back to the area have a chance of getting, or even those people in the area for decades, being reminded that, town meetings, let's participate, or do you guys not want to have more people around? Valid.
44 maximum occupancy.
Okay, well,
44.
Only pre-register, sign up now for your spot. You can charge money for the seats. I mean, all sorts of things could happen. I was just thinking about, exactly, I was just thinking today that that driving by, I almost forgot about the meeting tonight, and if my daughter hadn't seen it on my little calendar and reminded me, just a little silly marketing idea, but it could be something that, creates a little more, I don't know.
We have a sign for the disc golf course.
I saw that.
That looks sharp, yeah.
On the same signboard.
Anything else? Motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.